Megan here. So this whole series of Instagram scheduling apps has been really hopefully helpful for you and very in-depth and insightful for me trying to figure out what is going to be the best scheduling app for my business and hopefully for you too. So before I had mentioned, throughout all of my posts that my original app that I preferred was Planoly because it had auto post capabilities, first comment, hashtag repository, and data analytics, though not my favorite data analytics. So when I chose that, clearly I went against Plann and Later. But now that Plann and Later both have auto post capabilities, I want to talk about comparing and contrasting those two specifically, because while Planoly was the one that I had gone with, I know that a lot of people are interested in Plann or Later and not really Planoly. So I want to talk about the pros and cons of each of those and figure out which one might be best for you. So let's get into it.
When I had originally done the first video and blog post about Instagram schedulers, Plann was my runner-up because they had incredibly cool features, but they did not have auto post capabilities. So now that they do have auto post capabilities, let's dive in and see what's happened since then. I have a free trial of their paid plan on this right now. So we're going to actually look at what the paid plans cover for you. So let me just log in. And this is just the quick tutorial. And yes, I know I'm starting my trial. So what we're going to do right now is connect one brand to this, or one account. And all you have to do for this is just link up your Facebook account and have it connect to the page and the Instagram account that's relevant. Now, because of this, since I'm just linking this for the first time, we're not going to get a ton of analytics out of this. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a workaround on that to give you, just so you can see what actually, what analytics look like here. And okay, so you can see here the features that are very cool that I look for are drag and drop, bulk upload, auto post, and carousel features. So I'm going to show you just how this works. You can drag and drop here into the feed so you can check and see how your feed's going to look, or you can drag and drop it into this post template here. And let me give it some time to load. You can see the blue bar up under the URL, seeing when it's loading. Okay, so let me just click edit on one and show you what this looks like. And they have first post comment now, which is super cool. They have hashtag sets, which is a requirement for me. And now let me show you what their calendar feature looks like. If you've watched any of my previous videos about Planoly, you'll know that one of my main complaints is that they don't have a very visual calendar. And so when I see that Planoly has that, it just makes life so much easier because you see these little thumbnails. So you know what's already being scheduled. You're not double dipping, posting 2 podcast episodes or anything like that. You're able to keep just a quick visual of what's going out and what you'll need to pay attention to. Next, I want to show you their collection feature. Collections is just a media library where you can store all of your information. But what they also have in addition to that is stock photo repository where you can source different images. They don't seem to have the public feed of images from other users like Planoly has, but they do have multiple stock photo repositories and the ability to create something quickly in Canva and have it load into your Plann account. So let me just show you what this looks like for Girl Boss. All right, there's just that one. And then I could check Pixabay and Unsplash too, but just showing you how this works quickly. And now let's go over to Canva. Again, they have an integration, so this is right on desktop. And here I can drag and drop images. I can change the colors to match my brand style. And if this was something that I was ready to post or wanted to schedule, I could do that right here through Plann. So that's a really cool feature. You don't have to go off of Plann to get all of this done for you. You can just do it right in the app. And now hashtags. Now, this is something that I'm actually really sad to learn, but let me cover this let me get to what I'm talking about first. So you can create your own sets of hashtags where you have these different groupings of hashtags that you can add to your captions or to your first post comment. But here is something that seems to be left over from their old interface, I guess, that doesn't exist anymore. One of the reasons I loved Plann so much, and the reason that it was the runner-up for me, is because their hashtag research was really clutch. They had these different color-coded hashtags that would give you an idea of what you could use to create just a really well-rounded set of hashtags. You know, you could mix up with some that were the orange ones that were really popular and some that were sky blue, so that you knew that you were going to get a lot of exposure from those since they were so niche. Unfortunately, they don't seem to have this feature anymore. They say to search for hashtags, you have to actually go over to Instagram. Since I last did a video of comparing Plann to Planoly, I actually spoke to Plann about this and asked what happened to their hashtags, and they said, unfortunately, it's due to an Instagram feature that has blocked their capabilities. So it was a very cool feature, but unfortunately, due to Instagram policies, Plann does not have it anymore. Hopefully it will come back someday because it was an incredibly useful feature to have, but it is what it is. So now let's go over to strategy. Now, this is such a good feature and really interesting to me. Plann has what they consider to be different ideas for strategies. So if you're trying to figure out what to post, what kind of strategy is going to work best for your business, they have a set of templates for a ton of different options. So let me show you just content prompts that they have. So if I want to host a giveaway, if I'm doing something for the season, running a sale, I am running a sale with an extended offer. And also they have different Plann ideas for niches. So artist, beverage, family, fashion, food. Look at all of these things that they have set up for you to give you a guide on what would successfully create a good content strategy for you. So I'm going to scroll down to coaching. And what you'll see is I can add these all to my grid, and all I got to do is just replace these with the thing that it's going to be. So client transformation, I would add a client transformation post here. What I also love about Plann is they have the your best times to post, but they also have a really interesting feature of when your audience is most online. So if your best times to post and when your audience is mostly online are different, it's going to be another variable that you can test in your marketing to see which is better for your Instagram account. And I think it's really interesting. So now let's go to their analytics. And like I said, since my account on here is new, I don't have any analytics for them to report, but I realized that I had an old Instagram account that was on Plann that was still recording data. So we're going to switch over to that one. And this is a free version. I don't know if there's any difference between the paid analytics and the free analytics yet, but this is a free version of their analytics. So here you can see they have my most recent posts, the number of impressions, the reach, whether it's been increasing or decreasing, best performing palette, which I don't post enough on this old account for that to be, I guess, a data point for me, and my engagement rate. But if we scroll down, you can also see posts from my stories, again, the impressions and the reach. Always really good to know for when you're collaborating with brands and trying to pitch brands for sponsored posts. The completion rate is also a really interesting metric that I'm glad that they offer. And then I can go into activity where you can see my engagement rate, best times to post when my followers are online versus my engagement rate. And it's interesting that those are sort of different. It's just a really cool data point for me to look at. And you can see, again, this is a pretty much dead account, so I don't really have a lot of things on here, but you can get a quick run over of what this would look like for your account. And again, the palettes are here, which I think is incredibly interesting and really good for brands who are trying to create a certain aesthetic. And whether it's your brand colors or, fashion photography or things like that, this is a really interesting data point to have. And I wish I could show you a little bit more about it, but unfortunately, I don't really have any sort of post that would work for that. Plann also has the reply feature, so I can go and based on either comments or mentions, I can go here and reply to any posts or any comments that have been made. Now let's cover Later. If you're unaware, Later was one of the first Instagram schedulers on the market, so it has a lot of street cred for it and is pretty popular. So I'm just going to dive into this. Unfortunately, they do not have a free trial for their paid memberships. So while I'm doing this onboarding, I just want to let you know that we're not going to be able to actually utilize a lot of these, but you will be able to see the features that they do have available if you would upgrade. And again, I wish I could show you more, but there's no free trials. So what are you going to do? This part is really interesting to me, the industry insights. When I saw this, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I can't wait to see what information they have about marketing. Now, the first thing that comes up is this list of hashtags, which seems really good. Like, oh, okay, it's good to know that Instagram Coach is doing really well and marketing is going to be really popular. But if you actually dive into these and look at them, you're going to see that it's not as great of a insight as you would think, because these are actually really oversaturated hashtags. So check this out. Let me type in Slay Queen, which was one of the ones. That's 1.2 million posts are on that. Now, another one they said was hashtag love. Love has over 2 billion posts. If you're really trying to grow your audience and break into Instagram, these aren't really the best hashtags for you because you're going to be having a ton of competition. Also, looking at this engagement performance, it says that in this industry, the average is 0.0%. So I don't know if that's like a bug on their end. I don't think that's the case, that's 0.0. So take these industry insights with a grain of salt. It's a cool feature though. I just wish that it was more useful, unfortunately. So now here we are on the main screen of Later. Let me just show you how this works. They do have drag and drop features, which is, something that I'm really looking for in a scheduler. But this one is taking a really long time to load for some reason. So while that's loading, let's go through all of the Facebook stuff to set up auto publishing. And again, before Later did not have, maybe, I can't remember if they didn't have auto publishing before. I think they did, but they did not have first post capabilities. So that was a no for me. But now it seems like they do have this. So I like that I can just drag and drop it into any time. But again, you're going to see in this walkthrough that unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to actually utilize a lot of these features, but we can see that they're there and that they are available for paid plans. So first comment, they now have that. Adding a link in bio like a shop, we'll talk more about that later. Adding your location, tagging people, these are all really important and are available on paid plans, which makes sense. But you're going to see when we're going through this is actually their free plan, which is great for getting started. It's actually pretty bare bones. So while this is still loading, wow, okay. This is a really cool feature that I like. Hashtag suggestions would be a really useful tool if it does it well. And based on their industry insights, I'm a little dubious to their data, but it's a cool idea. I love this part. I love saved captions. I think that's really great, especially if you keep saying the same thing over and over again, or if you are promoting something multiple times throughout the month, you can just keep reloading it. And so it's sort of an evergreen regram capability. What I also like is that they have a an image editor right in the app, so I can get it down to the right size. I can add filters, put text overlays on it. Again, those are for upgraded plans. It's not for the free plan. The free plan gives you the basic abilities to just do cropping. So, all right, let's save this, schedule to post, and you can see that it has a little thumbnail, if the thing would ever load. It has a little thumbnail on the calendar so you can see what is posting. And you can see that there's no real information about when you should be posting, and they do have that behind a paywall for their upgraded plans, best times to post. So that feature is available for paid plans, but it's just not going to show on this walkthrough. One thing and if you use later and are able to help me out with this, then leave a comment and let me know. But I couldn't seem to find any sort of way to create carousels. It seemed like the only things I could really upload and publish were single posts. I didn't try video, and the fact that I couldn't do a carousel seemed really like that's really fundamental. And so I don't know if I'm missing it somewhere or if they just don't have that functionality. If you know anything about it, leave a comment and let me know. So here's my media library, and I like that they keep a record of everything that posts so that if I need to regram something, I have that capability and it's really easily accessed. You can see that I can add labels here, I can add notes, but the labels are really cool for organizing. So if I want to add a bunch of sale posts or I want to add customer testimonials and I have a kind of a pattern, that will really be helpful and make my scheduling life a little bit easier. And you'll see this is important. Contents will be copied to caption when you create the posts. So if you do decide to make notes on this, I would recommend making sure that whatever happens, whatever you're writing, you're comfortable with if you forget to edit it. Oh, let me delete that really quickly so it doesn't actually post to my account. Okay. I'll delete this one too because I'll forget about it. And let me just show you what the calendar feature looks like through monthly. I usually prefer the monthly layout, just it looks more organized to me over the weekly, but the weekly seems to be their default. They also have the ability to schedule stories and have that calendar function for if you have a series of Instagram stories that you're thinking of publishing. They don't auto-publish, and this is only for paid plans, but it is available for later users. Conversations is another feature where for paid plans you have the ability to reply to comments and engage with your audience. So that feature is available if that's something that you're looking for in an Instagram scheduler. That is hit or miss for me. I usually just respond in the app, so that's a nice feature to have, but it's not really something I ever utilize on any of my schedulers. What I'm looking for, as you know, as a marketing nerd, is I'm looking for really robust analytics. And so this is the part that is most interesting to me. Now, again, we're only going to be able to see a potential of what they have, but it's still going to give us a good oversight or a good overview on what features would be available for paid users. So we have total posts, followers, following. Let me just get this ad blocker off so that it makes life easier. I wonder why. That's kind of weird function, right? Or a weird requirement. So we can do followers over time. It looks like they have a couple of defaults here. Impressions. And I wonder how far back this can actually go. I wonder if you can just do a bunch of years, just out of curiosity. Reach, and then you can see that they'll break down things into profile views, website clicks. So this is a pretty good overview of data that you would need if you are trying to really grow your Instagram channel. So I think that these analytics are pretty interesting. I like that they have the best performing posts. You can break down your audience demographic and engagement. And then it's also interesting to me that they have specific breakdowns for their link in bio functions. That's very interesting to me, and it says to me that they are really trying to push link in bio, which is interesting. because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Instagram is opening their own shop function. So I'm wondering what the future of these kind of stores is going to look like once Instagram steals it from them. And here we have a breakdown of the post performance. I like that this is more visually appealing. I like that you can kind of toggle these to find out what's going on in the most recent post. What's interesting to me is that this will only go back 3 months, which I guess that's fine. Just it's interesting that they specifically call out it's your last 30 posts in the last 3 months. So I guess whichever one comes first in that scenario. So impressions and reach doesn't seem to be available. I would assume that that is probably under the paid plan stuff. But let's look in details and let's see where this goes. So you can see if we had the paid plan, we could do all of these breakdowns and see how this is going. They do 2 weeks of data for each post. Now, actually, I'll come back to this. I'll come back to what I was going to say. Now, this is a little interesting feature that I've noticed, and it might actually be a workaround to conversations being behind a paywall. It looks like I have the ability to actually go in and add comments or maybe even reply to comments. I'm not entirely sure. But if you remember, the conversations tab was blocked behind a paywall. But if I go through the individual post and go into comments, it looks like I might be able to work around that. I don't know if that's a bug or if I'm letting later know that they have a bug feature that might go away for people. I don't know. But let's see if this actually, yeah, it posts. So little fun fact for you. Okay, let me go back and let's go to my IGTV post. This is an Instagram TV post that I did. I know that a lot of this is behind a paywall, but it's interesting they don't have any engagement rate whatsoever, which I don't know if that's because it's IGTV or what. And story performance upgrade plan to view data. So like I said, the basic plan is really bare bones, which is fine, but just heads up. They have the free plan. They do not have free trials. So they're going to show you all the things that are available, but you're not going to be able to actually use them. Like Planoly, they also have ways for you to collect media from different sources, like stock photo sites, hashtags, and things like that. So they do have that available if you're looking for, like if you run out of things to post about, or you're trying to do like meme posts or things like that. They also have this interesting contributors function, and this isn't something I've seen on a lot of other schedulers. Like you have team capabilities, but this one seems to be that you can invite anyone to have access to your Instagram account in a way. So if you're doing like a collabs or you're doing, working with someone who's doing an Instagram takeover or something, this might be a really cool way for them to have access to create posts for your account without them actually having a lot of access. So it's something that's pretty intriguing, and it's a function that I would be really interested in exploring. In addition, they also have this Chrome plugin, which you can add, and it gives you the ability to, while you're browsing, just not automatically, but add things to your queue on later. So let me show you how this works. It won't work with something like Google Images. I'm just going to show you what happens if you try and find an image and source it from Google. So just picking entrepreneur, we'll try this one. So I will right click it and add it to media library, and you see it doesn't work. You have to actually be at the source. But if you go to something like Unsplash, you'll be able to source images right from here without having to download them. It'll go right to your queue. So let's try this one. I will show you how this works. Add it to media library. And you see it pops up in a separate window. So here's the caption. It doesn't let you auto post it. It will just add it to your media library so that you can post it later. And you see it's interesting. You would think that just from like a UX user experience perspective, that closing or attempting to close out this image would either close this window or close the image and bring you to your main screen, right? Like your main, your media library or something, but it doesn't actually do anything. So I don't know. But if we go back to my main dashboard, you can see there it is. And I also like that they have the labels here, the web import labels, so that I know, if my VA or something is adding images, I know where it came from. Now let's go into their link in bio. And this is something, like I said, they seem to be pushing pretty hard, but I'm not sure what the future of this looks like now that Instagram has said that they're going to be releasing their own shops. So let me just add my website here. We'll create our little link in bio and see what this looks like. Okay, and it looks like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna actually have to put some data in before it will show me my shop. So let's go. I like this UX. I think this is actually really cool. I like that it's just clicking and it shows you quickly all of your posts rather than just you picking a few, if that makes sense. I think that this is a really smart interface, and this is, in my opinion, Later does the link in bio or the shop links or anything better than most other Instagram bio shops I've seen. So I'm just going to add a couple to show you what this looks like. And you can customize the layout. Hero image you can add, which is just the most recent post in your feed. If you have a paid plan, you can upgrade to add a Shopify store and have that integrated. And you can also do an embed right on your website that links to this link in bio shop. What I also like is that they've thought through the need for people to have Google Analytics tracking and knowing where data comes from. So I like that that is already a native feature. It's not something that you have to add if you're, not good with any kind of coding. They just make it very easy for you. So here's what the shop looks like. And you see, you can visit the website, click on the other links. Now, here's something I said I was going to come back to. For some reason, Later has this issue with formatting where you can see there's this huge space in between the words. And I don't know why that is. I noticed that on a couple of my posts when I was looking through them. And I'm not sure if it's just a formatting issue because it looks right on my actual Instagram feed. But on Later, it's just wonky. I don't know why that is. So, all right, let me click this. I'm going to show you actually what I'm talking about by the UTM features. So you can see this whole long URL is actually going to tell me when I look into Google Analytics that, oh, somebody clicked the link in my bio from Later in my link in bio shop. And I know that that's where this came from. So if I'm doing client work, like if I'm an agency or if I'm trying to run a really good campaign and I want to know where are people coming from, how is traffic getting driven, this is a really useful thing. And again, kudos, how old am I? Kudos to Later for making that native thing. I think that's really smart. And settings, okay, we don't really need to see the settings, but what I like additionally that Later does is this suggestions feature. They have this readily available for anyone of any Later plan level to offer them feedback and give you new improvement ideas, new things to add. In addition, what I really like is they have this already exists or will not implement. I like that they're just putting a line in the sand and saying, we're not going to do that. We want to make the app the best we can, and these things that someone's asking for is just either not in our scope or it's not going to happen. And good for them, The future consideration is probably the one you want to keep an eye on, because what they're saying is that these are going to be potential potential new features. So if you're intrigued by Later, but you're not quite there yet, I would say check out their future considerations feed too and see if anything is there that would kind of sway you one way or another. So I know this is an Instagram scheduling video, but I'm just going to show you how quickly you can add other things like Pinterest, TikTok, which is especially interesting to me, Facebook, and Twitter. And just to show you it, adding a Twitter post, it looks exactly the same as it would on Instagram. And again, you can do click tracking with Google Analytics UTM, and I think that that is a really nice feature to have. But since we've seen all of the things we cannot do on the free plan, let's start talking about what we would need to pay to get all of the access that we want on Later. So they have these different levels, and there's the starter plan, which ends up being $150 a year, or the growth plan, which ends up being just under $250 a year. Now, that's a huge difference, right? But I want to scroll down and show you something you need to consider, especially when we're comparing this to Plann. So you get about the same stuff, one social set, you can upgrade to have more posts and things like that. But let me go down and break this down for you. So the starter plan has the Instagram Lite analytics, and those are the analytics we saw in this original version. So you're not going to get a lot more in terms of data insights if you have the starter plan, whereas the growth plan, which is $250, is going to give you more analytics, but that's a big jump. And again, you can do story scheduling, best time to post, hashtag suggestions. You can add one user. You can do monthly posts. The paid level starts getting you a level of support like email. You can't get live chat until you get to the Uber level. The growth level also has the ability to have teammates. So if you need somebody to, if you have like a social media manager or someone else, a VA who's helping you, you can have them kind of come in and make notes or check out the calendar, things like that. So that function is available on the growth plan instead of the starter. But what I do is I just have, like I said in the last video, I have RoboForm, which is like a password manager, and my VA has access to that. And so we just always need one login. I don't need to make multiple logins. And you can see here, tags, mentions, contributors, that is only available on the growth plan, not on the starter plan. So you're not really getting a ton of functionality through their starter plan, which starter, I guess it's named starter for a reason. But in terms of what other schedulers offer, this isn't really making me want to use Later. You know what I mean? But if this is something that you're interested in, or like I said, you see all of those different coming soon features that really pique your interest, Later is going to be a really good app for you, and they've been around the longest. Switching over to Plann, you can see they run things a little bit differently. So if you have just one brand, one Instagram account, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can just go for the power user, which is just $7 a month. Whereas if you need multiples, then I would recommend the build plan, which is $15 a month. However, there is a way to save a couple of bucks here. Now, if you don't need multiple team members, I would suggest using the power user and just add a brand for $7 a month. This ends up being $168 a year. And here's all of the different features that you'll get with the paid plan. If you need an app that uses Pinterest, then Plann is not for you. Later has Pinterest features, but I feel like, just my personal opinion, Tailwind is like the Mac Daddy. Like, they cannot be beat when it comes to Pinterest. So I can't say whether that's worth it for you. If you have a Pinterest account, I recommend using Tailwind above all of these. And furthermore, I don't really recommend using Tailwind for Instagram. I think that we'll talk about this later, but I think that if you are serious about your brand and marketing it, then you need to get apps that are dedicated to doing that thing. Let's recap. Here are the things that I need in an Instagram scheduler. I need auto post capabilities because I don't want to be the one that's responsible for making sure the content goes live. I have too much to do. I know you do too. So what we need is auto post capabilities. I need bulk upload features. I need drag and drop just to be able to upload a bunch of stuff at the same time. Doing one upload at a time is really tedious and I don't recommend it. So bulk upload features and drag and drop are really good for me. I need powerful analytics. As a marketer, I need to know what's working and what isn't. And I need both first comment and hashtag repository just to keep it clean and more organized. So what is my pick? It's Plann. I mean, zero shock to you, I'm sure. I tried my best to stay unbiased throughout all of this, but just based on the pricing, the features, and that planning strategy ability, Plann just blows Later out of the water, in my opinion. I don't think that Later is going to be something that is for a solopreneur like me or like you. So I feel like Later has its spot in the marketplace. Obviously, it's a very successful brand, but for someone who needs these different things and is on a budget or isn't looking for an enterprise kind of solution, I really think that Plann is the best for you. That said, if you are a Later user and think I'm totally wrong, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear more about what sets Later apart for you. Now, next week, I'm going to dive into what I call the dark horses, and those are the jack-of-all-trade schedulers that have auto post capabilities but aren't specifically designed for Instagram. So I'm going to review a couple and let you know if I think that it's worth getting one of those or going with something like Planoly, Plann, or Later. I gave you a bit of a spoiler in this and said that I think you should get a dedicated one, but that doesn't mean that you can't explore other options. And so that's what I want to go through. If you want me to explore one in particular, like Buffer or Hootsuite or anything else, leave a comment and let me know, and I will add that to the roster for next week. But otherwise, please like this. If you thought it was good, giving a thumbs up tells YouTube that I am doing a good job and that they should show this to more people. And I would really appreciate that. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. See you then.